Hello everyone and welcome to AOB, the show where we take you behind the scenes of a £100 million property business. And we really are taking you behind the scenes in this episode because we have big plans for the future. And when you have big plans, you need to have a mechanism to grow. And we're going to give you our growth strategies. We're going to share what we're going to do to grow our business. You don't ever get this type of information shared. It is very rare for businesses to say, we're going to do this, because they're scared. They're scared of people copying. They're scared of people replicating it. But you know what? If you're confident in what you do and you want to help others, then you ignore that and you push forward anyway. Well, at least that's what we're telling ourselves, Rob.
Yeah, let's hope that works out all right for us. So the business we're talking about, for anyone who doesn't know, is Property Hub Invest. So we've got one big group, which includes the podcast and all the educational stuff we do. It includes an advisory business, and it includes Property Hub Invest, which is where we go out to developers who we have fantastic relationships with, secure property from them at a discount, then pass that on to investors who are cash rich and time poor, basically, who want to build portfolios, have got the resources, but don't have the time or the desire to do it all themselves. And that business is where the vast, vast majority of our revenue comes from. So that is what we're focused on growing. We went into this year with a handful of initiatives, which we identified towards the end of last year. And the good news is this year is on track, hitting our numbers, doing well. But there's no fun in just standing still. So we've mapped out our targets for the next 3 or 4 years. And as you'd expect, every year the numbers are getting bigger. It's getting a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more scary. So we recently had a half-year planning session where we reviewed how things are going and decided what we're going to start working on now to make sure we hit our numbers next year. There's no point getting into December and going, right, okay, that's this year done. How on earth are we going to do X% more next year? We need to start working on that stuff now to make sure it's ready for 2025. So that's the scene setting. So how about, Rob, we run through a few of the most important and interesting initiatives that we've got planned.
The first one's very exciting for everybody listening because at the moment, Property Hub Invest works with a very small group of you. Now, it's hard to measure, but there are probably hundreds of thousands of you consuming our information. The podcast gets a lot of downloads. The YouTube videos get a lot of views. It's hard to tally it all up, but there's a lot of you. But we only work with a very, very small percentage of our audience, our community. In fact, Property Hub Invest, the deals that we have are only presented to around 800 people. So if you think about the huge community that we have, but we only present the investments to 800 investors. And they're people who've contacted Property Invest. We've established that they're a good fit for us and they feel we're a good fit for them. Then and only then we work with them. Well, it's kind of obvious that there's probably more people than just the 800 we work with who would be interested in the deals that we have access to. So it's our intention at select periods of time. So we're not going to do this all the time, but at select periods, we will share some of our deals with all of you. And it's not going to be suddenly every week we're trying to sell properties. Far from it. It might be a handful of times a year. It might not even be that much. But when we feel it's the right opportunity, we're going to at least test bringing an investment to you all. And you can then join in. You can enjoy the fruits of our labour. You can take advantage of the investment that we've put together. Now, how we're going to do this, we haven't quite worked out yet. Of course, we could just talk about it now, send emails out, all the rest of it. But actually, we want to be a bit more sophisticated than that. So we want to pick the right deal and then we want to do it in the right way because we want to be true to who we are. We don't suddenly turn the podcast into a sales machine. We want it to be, like it always has been, education first. So if we ever launch anything, it'll be done from an education point of view first. We'll explain how we put the deal together. We'll explain why we like the deal, why it's a good investment. So we'll give all the behind the scenes stuff, again, stuff that you don't get when we eventually do this. But of course, when we do this, we can grow significantly. It would only take a few hundred people to work with us and transact to make a meaningful difference to the business. And then everybody wins. There are people who haven't had a chance to invest with us before who get to invest. And then we can grow the business. So it's something that we're going to test. If it goes well, great. We'll do it next year as well. But we will test it at some point this year. So a true exclusive there, something that we're going to do in the future. We haven't got the deal that we're happy with to launch yet. But when we do, You'll hear all about it, but most importantly, we'll make it education first when we lead with it. But that is a core growth lever for us. It's a way for us to grow the business, and we're very excited.
Yeah, it's really exciting because it's potentially great for the business and great for everyone. It adds value in so many different ways. And it's one of those things that's really obvious. I can't remember who it was, but someone said to us, you've got all these people who want to do this thing. Why don't you tell them about it? And it's like, well, we've always been of the mindset of, well, yeah, but if we only work with 1% of people who listen, then that's fine. That's a great business. And that is all completely true. But I think we've possibly, as a result of that mindset, gone a bit too far in that direction. And if we go from a 1 out of 10 to a 3 out of 10, then that'll still be completely true to what we've always done. Most people probably won't even notice, but for the right people, it's going to add a lot of value. So that is the first of our growth levers. The second is a very simple one, and it's something that we've always been doing, but we're going to start doing this in a bit more of a deliberate way, which is growing our total audience. Because, like I said, if we end up doing business with 1% of the people who are in our audience, then that's a great business. If we take that up to 1.5%, that's an even greater business. But we're probably never going to get to 10% because the service that we offer is inherently quite niche. That's part of the point of it. So how else do we grow the business? Well, we grow the total size of the audience. And that's something that fortunately just happens as people discover the podcast themselves and tell friends about it and discover the books on Amazon and all that kind of thing. But it's something that we're targeting more deliberately in a few different ways. So one of those ways has been recently and will continue to be targeting specifically the growth of our email list. Because as a business, having someone's email address, having the ability to get in touch with them without relying on them, going and seeking out the podcast or whatever is a powerful thing. That's why we've deliberately added loads and loads of value to our Property Pulse email that goes out on a Friday. So more and more people are encouraged to sign up for that and tell their friends and so on. Another side of that is focusing on specific growth channels. So YouTube is the most obvious example of that. Because podcasting is great, it's amazing. If I had to choose just one platform and throw out everything else, podcasting would be it. But YouTube has that discoverability built in. If you think about how you use YouTube, chances are you open up the app and what you watch will be guided by what's recommended to you on the home screen. That means videos are far more discoverable than podcasts. And so we've been putting, again, a lot of emphasis on YouTube over the last couple of years. We were barely using it 2 years ago. Now we've given it some focus. It is a major, major source of audience growth for us. So we're now thinking about, okay, this was an experiment. It's working. How do we do more of this? And there are other channels as well, including probably the most obvious thing of all that we've never really done, adverts. So we run a small number of adverts on Facebook and Instagram, but really hardly anything. And again, more recently, we've started advertising the newsletter because the newsletter is a valuable thing in itself. If we can advertise that and bring more people into our world, the business grows. We've only been doing that on a very small level, but there is a lot more potential there. So that's the second growth lever, Rob. It's a pretty brute force one, but we know it's going to work and it adds value for everyone. It's just making the audience bigger.
It is. The first two are really obvious, right? Like, it's just like work with slightly more people who interact with us. And the second is get more people to interact with us. Really simple stuff. But that's the great thing about the opportunity that we have is that it is simple stuff. We don't have to do wacky and weird things. And the third one is an obvious, simple one as well. And that is work with a group of people who clearly want to work with us, but we've not really made any effort to work with them. And the group of people I'm talking about are expats. So around about 10% of the people who work with Property Hub Invest are expats. Now, that's not been deliberate. It's not been by design. They found us, and understandably so, because Property Hub Invest works well with people who are time poor or don't want to be hands-on with property investment. Well, when you're an expat, even if you have a lot of time on your side, you have to be hands-off. You have no choice because you live in a different country. So a service like Property Hub Invest is ideal, but we've never attempted to tap into that community before. And we're going to change that. So we are going to target expat communities with our content, with our information, with our services to say, hey, you may not know we exist, but we are absolutely perfect for you. And that will be a mix of content, as we've touched on already, but it'll also be some paid adverts as well to just accelerate that reach because it takes a while for content to spread. It's a super, super powerful tool. It's the stuff that we love doing most, but by putting a bit of an ad spend alongside with it, it will really help accelerate those plans. So by tapping into more of that community, that'll make a real meaningful difference to our business. And we know a lot of you who listen to this podcast are overseas and expats already. So if you would like to get in touch and possibly help, then amazing. We'd love to hear from you. Email hello@propertyhub.net. That's hello@propertyhub.net if you would like to help us on that journey.
What excites me about all of this is none of this is particularly groundbreaking stuff. It's just doing more of what works. And that's something that in business is actually more difficult to do than it first appears. It's always tempting and more exciting to do the new thing, the shiny thing. Go, if this and if that and if the other, then that could be incredible. But actually, something that we've discovered over the years, slowly, but we got there in the end, is that, you know what, just look for what's already working and do more of that thing. What's driving the business? Growing the audience. Cool, let's do that. What's working to grow the audience? These things. Right, let's double down on those. Who are our best clients? Oh, it's this group. Well, let's find more of them. It's really pretty obvious, but that's exciting because it means we already know how to do this stuff. And that gives me supreme confidence that even though we've set ourselves some big targets for the years ahead, we're going to achieve them because all we need to do is do more of what we already know works. Other thing that we will need to do, though, is grow the team. Because we've got the structure of the business in place, we've got all the departments we need built out, but each of those departments will need to grow. We need more talented people to come and work with us. So if you are a talented person, then come and work with us. At the moment, we're particularly looking for people to come and join our team of portfolio managers. So if you've got experience in sales and property, then you could be perfect for that. But there are other openings as well, and will be more in the future. So if you'd like to find out more about how you could potentially come and work with us to achieve all these exciting things, then the place to go is propertyhub.net/jobs.
So a true behind the scenes episode this week. We are telling you our plans on how we are going to grow. We've told you that we want to grow. We've told you how we're going to do it. We love being transparent on the show, and hopefully you're enjoying it too. Do reach out to us. Let us know what you think of the show. Let us know what episodes you'd like us to cover. We're both on Instagram. We're both on LinkedIn. The links to our profiles are in the show notes as well. The next time you can catch up with us will be Sunday in the Sunday Times, where we'll be answering your questions in the home section. And we'll be back with Ask Rob and Rob on Tuesday. And of course, the Property Podcast next Thursday. So until these wonderful and momentous events occur, take care, have fun. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.